The Resilience Across Borders podcast is intended for education, support, and inspiration. I am not a psychologist or a medical doctor and do not offer any professional, medical, or health advice. If you are dealing with or suffering from any psychological or medical conditions, please seek help from a qualified health professional. Hello and welcome back to Resilience Across Borders. I'm your host Rachid and also author of the Emojim Journal and guide and workbook to get clear and stay focused on your priorities and institute better habits, among other things. So in today's episode, we are going to address self-talk that builds inner strength. And we're going to talk about some science-backed ways on how to rewire your inner dialogue. So there is one voice you hear more than anyone else's, your own. It narrates your wins, magnifies your fears, interprets your failures, and quietly shapes your identity over time. Most people underestimate this internal dialogue, treating it as background noise rather than the powerful conditioning system it truly is. But neuroscience tells a different story. Your self-talk is not just commentary, it is programming. You got to take note of that. It's not just commentary, it is programming. The question is not whether you talk to yourself. The question is your self-talk weakening you or building you. So we're going to start with first understand that thoughts become neural pathways. Your brain operates on a principle known as neuroplasticity, the ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. Repeated thoughts strengthen certain pathways, making them more automatic over time. So say, okay, negative self-talk, if it repeats and it repeats and it repeats, it reinforces fear. It reinforces doubt and it reinforces avoidance. On the other hand, constructive self-talk, again, repeated and repeated, builds resilience, it builds confidence, and it builds a bias towards action and positive action. What you repeat, you reinforce. What you reinforce becomes who you are. It becomes your identity. For instance, one of the things you can do is interrupt and replace. So say a thought comes, first thought that comes, I'm not good at this. Replace it with, I'm in the process of getting better at this. If you do this consistently for say 7 to 14 days, you're not lying, you're rewiring. You're reprogramming, you're rewiring. You have to label the pattern. When a negative thought appears, say, this is an old pattern. Not a fact. It's just an old pattern. This creates psychological distance and weakens that old neural loop. So you can get away from it and you can build a new, more constructive, helpful, and positive one. So the number thing to do is shift from, okay, I know some affirmations are not built correctly. You can shift from that to evidence-based identity statements. I love affirmations, but a lot of people have come now to misconstrue them and to make them these things where you're just like almost blowing up your you know what. Most affirmations, not all affirmations are bad, but most affirmations fail because they are too disconnected from reality. So if it's too disconnected from reality, your brain resists statements it cannot believe. But instead of this, use evidence-based affirmations or statements that are grounded in truth, but oriented toward growth. You can't argue with that. For instance, you can stack evidence instead of, okay, if you're having a problem with staying right now, I am confident, say, okay, I handled difficult situations before, I can handle this one. This aligns with principles from cognitive behavioral therapy, where thoughts are reframed using real evidence. And another thing you can do is use even if statements. So even if I feel nervous, I can still perform. I can still perform. I can still do this. Even if this is uncomfortable, I can handle it because I know I need to handle it. This builds emotional resilience without denial. Important. The number 3 thing to do is use self-talk to regulate your nervous system. Your inner dialogue doesn't just affect thoughts, it affects your body. Through the automatic nervous system, your words can either activate stress, that is fight or flight, or activate calm, which is rest and digest and relaxed state. One of the things you can do is to do the down regulation process or script even. When overwhelmed, you can remind yourself, I am safe right now. I can slow this down one step at a time. These are all things that can help you focus on just what's in front of you, get grounded, be back in the present. And then you can pair this with slow, like breathing to signal safety to your body. Because this is not just a thinking problem. This is also like a body emotions kind of problem. You can get over flooded and then you can stop thinking clearly, which happens to the best of us. Also, the thing you can do is performance activation. Before a challenge, you can remind yourself or say to yourself, my body is preparing me to perform. And you can remind yourself, this energy is useful. This reframes things like anxiety as readiness. Number 4, speak to yourself like someone you respect. Many people speak to themselves in ways they would never speak to others. This creates internal resistance instead of growth. Research in self-compassion shows that supportive inner dialogue leads to greater motivation, not less. You can use the best friend filter. Ask, if a close friend were in my position, what would I say to them? Then say that to yourself. Assuming you're not one of these people who likes to abuse their friends. So anyways, replace harsh labels. Instead of I am lazy, say I am struggling with energy and need to adjust something. This shifts from identity attack to problem solving. You can also, which leads me actually to number 5 thing to keep in mind, is use future self dialogue to pull yourself forward. Your brain is highly responsive to imagined identity. When you speak from your future self, you create alignment between who you are and who you are becoming. So you can do a future self check-in. Say, for instance, you can think, what would the version of me I respect most right now? Then accordingly, even in a small way, I am becoming someone who follows through. I am someone who handles challenges directly. So what would the version of me I respect most do right now? That could be your future self. That could be your ideal self. That could be that version of you when you feel like you're at your best. And you can operate from that, and then you can talk to that version of you. This creates behavioral consistency over time by saying, I'm becoming someone who follows through. I am someone who handles challenges directly, because this also goes to your identity. You're speaking to your identity, you're shaping that identity, because that's when we stick with habits, that things that are consistent with that identity. Anything that is not consistent with our identity is not going to stick. The other thing to do, or you can call it number 6 if you like to stick with numbers here, keep it short, repeatable, and emotionally charged. The brain does not respond best to long paragraphs. It responds to clear, repeated signals with emotional intensity. Short phrases repeated consistently outperform complex affirmations. So, for instance, you can use an anchor phrase: calm, capable, in control, handle it, or move forward. Things like that. Keep it simple. Repeat during stress or action moments, like I'm calm, I'm capable, I control, I can handle it, I'm moving forward. And you can say these phrases while you're walking or while you're exercising, or if you like to, looking in the mirror. Everybody has something that works for them. This strengthens encoding through physical association. It just creates more moments that you can anchor this to, and you can associate this with. But also catch the tone. That is your number 7. Catch the tone, not just the words. And of course, get you emotionally there. That helps it even stick more. So two people can say the same sentence but get completely different results. Why? Because tone carries emotional meaning. Your brain responds to how something is said, not just what is said. Think command versus doubt. Instead of weak tone, I guess I can try. Use let's go. One step. Let's take that one step. Notice the difference, because if you even look at your body when you say it, what posture and what position are you in? And if you want to even take it to the next level, record and listen. Record your affirmations in a strong, calm tone, and then listen back daily. This reinforces authority in your internal voice. And if you record them and you listen to it and you're like, you don't sound like convincing, redo it. It has to be convincing. It has to have authority. Remember, you're always training your mind. Even anytime that you're just like repeating a thought, every thought is a repetition. Every repetition is a vote. You're voting anytime you repeat the statements you say to yourself. Every vote shapes your identity. So self-talk is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing thoughts that make you stronger, thoughts that make you more capable, thoughts that make you more grounded in reality and help you move forward and make progress. You don't need to be perfect, and your affirmations, you don't need perfect affirmations. You need consistent, believable, and intentional ones that you are moving forward, that you are getting better, that you are improving. So because over time, your inner voice becomes your outer life. So you can ask yourself, what is one sentence I repeat that weakens me? Stop on that, reflect on that. You can pause this if you're listening to this wherever you are. What is one sentence I can replace it with? Starting today. It'd be great if you're in a position to do this, like to actually take a moment and do this exercise and write it down. Write down what you need to scratch off and what you need to put in instead. So then repeat it, not once, not twice, but until it becomes who you are. Repeat it as much as possible and as often as possible. As always, thank you for tuning into the Resilience Across Borders podcast. If you're enjoying the podcast, you probably heard me say it many times, but it does help us a great deal. If you can review it or share it, it is an inspiration to see that, because then we know this is making a difference, and that fuels us to create more episodes and to create great content. So remember to be kind to yourself and be kind to others and stay resilient.